Your Humanities Half Hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Welcome to Your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry. Well, today we're turning the microphone back on ourselves as the Northern Marianas Humanities Council shares some of their activities and programs coming up this year. And here to tell us all about it is Program Officer Eulalia. Eulalia, welcome to your show, Your Humanities Half Hour.
Hi, Kat. Thanks for having me.
Let's just jump into it. In fact, today there's one of these events coming up that's going to kick off the list of activities we're talking about today. What is tonight's event?
Tonight we have the fireside chat. It's an event specifically for veterans to come with their families just to get together. I've been meeting with different people, trying to get in touch with veterans just to find out what's out there and what we're lacking maybe, and also try to come up with humanities related programs specifically for veterans. And this is a good way to start because we have 2 veterans visiting on their way to Iwo Jima. And we thought it would be a good meet and greet and also a good opportunity for them to share their stories, whatever their stories they feel comfortable sharing. And I'm hoping that, from this get together, we can come up with quality humanities programs for veterans, but then also help provide resources for veterans, whether it be just informational, finding out what's out there. I myself am finding out a lot of things about different types of maybe benefits that veterans here might not know about regarding tax, regarding free education. There's a bunch of stuff out there. So aside from my responsibility of creating the program, I'd also like to help them out. So this is a good start. And the event is tonight at the Carolinian Ut in Garapan from 5 to 7 p.m. For all you veterans listening, if you could please come out, that'll be great. I'd love to see you guys and meet you guys. So please feel free.
And this was actually an initiative of the National Endowment for the Humanities, correct?
Yes. Last year we received notice that they started this new initiative called Standing Together, and we were given $10,000 to create a humanities program specifically for veterans. And so since then, I've been, trying to find ways to connect with veterans and really come up with something that they feel they need here, or maybe that we're lacking here. And so I'm hoping that we'll get a lot of ideas after tonight and also participation.
I was going to ask, do you have any ideas already, or are you going to use tonight's meeting as a kind of an opportunity to start going through some ideas?
At first, I was thinking of, having this one big event on Veterans Day, possibly a traveling photo exhibit with with personal stories to accompany the photos. But after the few meetings that I've had, I think because there's really not much out there here in the CNMI for veterans, I think that maybe we can come up with a series of programming that'll satisfy our end, like our office's end, but also help veterans. So we're pretty much starting with a blank slate, and I look forward to seeing what comes out of the conversation tonight.
Well, that's great. And we do hope that the veterans do come out at 5 o'clock tonight, Carolinian Affairs Office or the Carolinian Ut in Garapan, to share ideas about what you would like, what kind of programs you would like to see the council do for veterans and with veterans.
Yeah, and I'd like to give a shout out to Mayor Apateng. His office has helped to bring a few of the veterans and our office together to talk about this program, and I'm hoping from there we'll have more connections and more interest. So thank you.
Well, another very popular program of the council that's been happening for a number of years is Mother-Father Read.
Yes.
And I understand you're going to be training some new teachers.
Some new trainers.
Oh, okay. How is that? First of all, for those that are not familiar with the program, tell us a little bit about it.
The CNMI Mother Read, Father Read Family Literacy Program is administered by our office. It is a nationally acclaimed private nonprofit organization that combines the teaching of literacy skills with child development and family empowerment issues. So we have, it's a series of meetings where parents, we've had grandparents, some relatives come in to learn how to use reading to connect with their children, not just simple reading of words, but really making that connection through reading. And there's two components to it, not only for the parents, but we also have a story exploring for the kids. So that's also fun. While the parents are doing their session, the kids also have their own session.
That's right. So a little child care there that will allow the parents to attend, but also they can bring their children if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
That's really great. I've had the opportunity to sit in on one of those child sessions, and it was based on the Cat in the Hat. So the parents were learning, I think, the Cat in the Hat. And then the kids also had like a craft and got to hear the story of the Cat in the Hat. So really a great program. What is the Institute offering?
For the Institute, it's a 20-hour intense training to certify participants to facilitate a Mother Read course. We've had very dedicated trainers these past few years. This will be the 4th time that we've had the Institute, I believe. And it's time. I think some people are ready to try something new, and so we'd like to invite people who are interested to call our office 235-4785 if they're interested in signing up. It's a 20-hour training, and it's on March 28, 29, and 30 from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. at PIC Napu Room. You do have to contact our office ahead of time so that we can connect you with Viola de Leon Guerrero, who's the Mother Read coordinator, because seats are limited.
And what would be greater than some of the many graduates of Mother Father Read to come forward and say, yes, I want to help other parents benefit from this. So if you're familiar with the program, or it sounds like something you're interested in and you would like to help teach others how they can get closer to their children through the techniques of Mother Father Read, please contact Viola to register. And how can they reach Viola?
Well, they can call our office at 235-4785 or the Jotenkizu Public Library. I believe their number is 235-7319.
Okay, so the Humanities Council or the Jotenkizu Public Library ask for Viola de Leon Guerrero of Mother Father Read.
Yeah, or there's also Brian Manabat and Beth Damapan who could help answer questions as well.
Okay, great. Another thing that is coming up tentatively, I understand late April, is something that artists are going to be pretty excited about. Not only artists, but I would say local people who are part of the artwork. I know I'm being very cryptic, but tell us, what are you guys looking at for tentatively April?
We have two things. First, we have our film festival, which we're hoping to have in April. Deadline for film entries is on March 31st at 4 p.m. And this year's theme is Sodalore and the Winds of Change. We were actually thinking of a different theme, but after the typhoon, we were getting a lot of calls. Would you guys support something about like a documentary of the typhoon? How about, we were just getting many calls about that, people stopping by. And at the same time, it had been 10 years since Hurricane Katrina. And so we thought, what better way to help document the significant event that happened here in our islands or in Saipan than to make it part of our film festival. So the deadline is on March 31st, and it's open to the community. So if you're a student, there's a student category, and then we have 2 other categories for others to also sign up for, and students as well. So,
give us a little bit of an idea about these categories, and also the very attractive cash prizes that are being offered.
Yes. Okay, so we have 3 categories. We have a narrative, documentary, and student. However, students are lucky because their film not only could be considered in the student category, but it could be considered under the narrative or documentary. The local filmmakers are invited to submit entries that explore and address the ethical, philosophical, and existential questions raised in the aftermath of Typhoon Sodalore. And we have prizes for each category. The first prize is $1,000.
Nice.
Second prize,
not too shabby.
$500.
Okay.
And third prize is $250. But that's for the narrative and documentary category.
Okay.
Sorry to correct myself. For the student category, it's $500 for first prize, $250 for second prize, and $100 for third prize.
Now, are there any other specific requirements for the documentary?
Yes, there are specific technical requirements. So if anyone's interested, please visit our website, www.northernmarianashumanities.org, and the guidelines are on there. I think if I maybe start reading some of the guidelines or the requirements for the technical part of it,
People might get confused.
They might be like, oh, not interested. But no, I'm just kidding. But yes, please visit our website for more information and also for the entry form, which is required when you submit your entry.
Now, you mentioned the website for the council, which is actually a great resource for any of the programs that we talk about because you usually post the information there. So give us that website one more time if you don't mind.
Sure. The website is www.northernmarianashumanities.org.
Great. And we mentioned another program coming up possibly April. And it's related to art. What is this program?
Yes, also in April, later part in April, we are planning an art exhibit of Paul Jacoulet's artwork, specifically the Rainbow series. He painted local women in each color of the rainbow. And for the longest time, many people never knew who these women were, like their names and whatnot. So for this exhibit, it's special because we're launching it for the first time here in Saipan. We'll be inviting the relatives of these women that he painted, and it'll kick off a larger exhibit that'll launch in Guam in May during FestPac, and then it'll be back in Saipan later on in the year in time for NEH Humanities Month. So it's something that we've talked about for well over a year now, and we're really happy that things are falling into place to make it happen. So we do believe there are Jacoulet enthusiasts on island or here in the cinema. Yes. And we're please be looking out for information about that exhibit. But for sure it'll be the late part of April.
Well, it's nice to hear that is finally coming to pass because I know, as you said, it's been talked about for a while. And I was interesting to look at his book of his work and actually see my relatives painted there. So
same here.
That's pretty interesting. You would be surprised. You might be related to some of the people that Jacoulet painted, so you might want to look up some of his work and see if this is an exhibit for you that you don't want to miss.
Yeah.
Well, we're speaking today with Program Officer Eulalia Arreola of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council about some of their upcoming activities, and we'll be back with more after this break.
Hafa Day, this is Eulalia Villagomez of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. Did you know that you can donate up to $5,000 to the Humanities Council through the CNMI Education Tax Credit Program? Donations from individuals and corporations qualify and can be used to offset your local wage and salary tax, BGRT, and earnings tax. Call our office at 235-4785 to see how you can support humanities programs in our community and obtain a tax credit for your donation. Thank you, and Sizus Masi.
Welcome back to your Humanities Half Hour. Our guest today is Program Officer Eulalia Arreola of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. Eulalia, tell us about how people can go about getting assistance from the Humanities Council if they have a project in mind.
Well, first, if you have a project in mind that's humanities related, which is very broad, come and see me. We're located at the Springs Plaza in Gualarai, and we can talk about in more detail how you want to expand on your idea. But we actually have a community grants program that a lot of people don't know about, but I really want to share because it's not only for 501c3 organizations and whatnot, individuals or as few as 2 people can apply for this grant. And we have 3 different categories depending on what your idea is. So we have a planning grant, a mini grant, and a regular grant. A planning grant is for someone who has an idea but is not sure how it's going to turn out. Like they want to kind of do some more research on it and need to make phone calls and maybe need to visit somewhere nearby to just gather more information and do more research about their idea. So that funding is $1,500 and below. So we've had somebody recently who is looking into possibly doing more research and maybe even a documentary regarding the history of the Peace Corps and the CNMI. And so they wanted to kind of put together their thoughts and create a plan or even see how that will work out. And so they applied for less than $1,000, and they were able to make phone calls, set up meetings, and just kind of put things together for the bigger picture. And normally when you apply for a planning grant and it looks like it's going to be a really good project, we encourage you to apply for other larger grant types. So we also have a mini grant, which is up to anything $2,000 or less, and that's for smaller projects. One of our recent grantees was really curious about these Coke bottles, these large concrete Coke bottles that you see around out. Did I say Coke? One of our recent grantees for our mini grant actually was really interested in the history of these concrete Coke bottles around the island. Like, why are they there? When were they put up? And why? And so he actually submitted a very interesting grant proposal, which I never thought about. I mean, I'm sure I passed by and I'm like, oh, there's a Coke bottle there, but why? And so he's actually doing research into that. So he received a mini grant, and we look forward to seeing seeing what he finds out about that. And our third category is the regular grant, which is anything above $2,000. One of the recent projects that we funded is for a year-long research and documentary on the history and role of the Suruhanu and the CNMI. And so that involved travel between islands, setting up interviews and recording them. And so that recently was completed, and we look forward to seeing the results of that grant application.
Well, now, the important thing for people to remember is that if you think you might want to avail of council money, you need to talk to them like before you start your project.
Yes,
or
it's
at the
important.
Very beginning. Why is that?
It's important not only because we have, other than a matching requirement when you're asking for funding, we also don't consider any costs or work put into the project until after you've been awarded. So we've had some instances where someone comes in and they had a great project, but it was all completed, so there was no way for them to match it or something like that. And so if you're still in the beginning stages, it's good to come in now and talk about where you want to go with that and how we can help.
So the next deadline for the second quarter is going to be March 31st, the same day as the film festival deadline,
yes.
Both at 4 p.m.
Both at 4 p.m.
And of course, you can find the grant applications online, but better to stop by and talk to Eulalia and kind of, vet your idea, and she can help guide you.
Yes, we have our grant guidelines online, and it's pretty long, but please don't be intimidated by it. It's really a lot of people that come in, they tell me what their idea is, what they expect, what they want to see happen, and that's pretty much what the grant proposal is all about. And so don't let that affect you, or don't hesitate from applying. Just come in and we'll talk about it, and I can help you through it. And we also encourage those that have already started with their grant application to come in to have us maybe look it over to see if there's anything that maybe they're missing that we can help with. Sometimes grant applications are submitted right when it's due, and there's a lot of things lacking, and at that point it's like you have to wait till the next cycle because it's not complete.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, there's it's obvious that you do think about students a lot in the activities you do. And in fact, there's one activity that you guys have been doing for like 12 years now that gets a lot of participation and gets students excited, which is the junior high mock trial.
Yes,
what's that
the junior high mock trial. The junior high mock trial is mirrored after the high school mock trial, but it's non-competitive. It's a fun way for students to learn courtroom procedures and to also just kind of get a feel of the mock trial environment. It's a very intense competition in the high school level. The team that wins locally goes to the mainland for the national competition. So this is a great way to start off. A lot of the students that I've seen in the junior high mock trial since I started with the council in 2012, I just saw in the last high school mock trial this past February. So
that must really feel rewarding.
Yes, it feels very rewarding. And it's also like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're already, in high school, or they already graduated and they're coaching a high school team. It's really nice to see. So the junior high mock trial this year is on April 2nd, Saturday, at the House of Justice, and it's open to the public to come and observe the students. And we have 11 schools registered, which
Wow.
I believe is the largest. So
Wow.
it'll be a very busy day because thanks to the help of Judge Camacho and the court staff, we were able to have multiple courtrooms run simultaneously. Unlike before, we would only have one courtroom and everybody goes in that courtroom for like almost a whole day. Now we have it. We're usually done by 1 p.m., 2 p.m. at the latest.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm running up and down, making sure everybody's okay and everybody has what they need and everything's working. But it's really worth it for the students. It's and I'm also excited because I'm happy that we have the opportunity and that we're able to bring in students from Tinian and Rhoda. And of course, I always love for them to come in early so that they can also enjoy, what Saipan has to offer and relax before this big event.
Well, that's one thing nice about your activities is you do think about the students on Tinian and Rhoda. In fact, not just the students, but any activity you do. I know you try to make an effort to do the same for Tinian and Rhoda. And one of those would be, of course, the Valentines Sing About Poetry contest.
Yes.
Which is usually held in, I think it's October?
Yeah, we usually have that in October during Cinema Humanities Month. And that's for junior and senior division. So not just junior high and middle school, but also high school level. And so for the junior division, they get to choose a poem from Microchild, a book of anthology of poems from Valentines Sang About. And they recite that, and there's prizes. We have first, second, and third place prize for the junior division. For the senior division, high school level, based on the themes chosen for the competition, they need to write original poetry. And so we have content judges and recital judges for the senior division level, and it's been going strong. So that's another event that we have very good turnout. We've actually had it at PIC last year. We kind of went beyond the capacity at the park, so we had PIC last year. Who knows where it'll be this year? It's the 25th anniversary for the council, so we might change it up a bit. Who knows?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about that. Do you have anything special planned for the anniversary?
Yes, we actually do. Every year, towards the end of Cinema Humanities Month, we have the Governor's Humanities Awards. The Governor's Humanities Awards is an event where we recognize individuals for their significant contributions to the humanities for the past year, for 4 of the categories. For one, which is lifetime achievement, of course, lifetime achievement, we look at how they've contributed to the humanities in their lifetime. But the other categories that we award are for research and publication in the humanities, preservation of CNMI history, preservation of traditional cultural practices, an outstanding humanities teacher in the classroom and outside the classroom. And so normally this event is by invitation only, and it's an intimate event. But considering that it's our 25th anniversary and we usually get phone calls of people who are interested in attending, we thought it would be a great way to celebrate 25 years of having the council here on island. Mm-hmm. So the Governor's Humanities Awards will be our big fundraiser this year, and we'll also have a silent auction of some really good stuff, but I can't talk about that yet. Not yet, but be looking out for that.
Well, it's also a big year for the council because of your assessment, which is basically your test from the National Endowment for the Humanities. What is this assessment all about, and how often does it happen?
It happens once every 5 years. We have a team of humanities scholars and some of the staff from NEH come in for 2 days to pretty much go over everything for the last 5 years that we've been up to programmatically and just with our operations and administrative stuff. So I need to, for the years that I wasn't here, I need to go back and also include just reports from those times as well as from 2012 up until now. Every single program, every single grant will be looked at.
And what is the significance for the local council in having this assessment done?
Once this assessment is done and we get the green light that we've, satisfied everything that they've required of us and everything for the grant, then we are guaranteed 5 years of funding for. We are guaranteed funding for the next 5 years. That's pretty big. That we get annually. The funding is divided annually, but we're secured for 5 years. So instead of having something where we have to apply every year. It's once every 5 years, but it's major because it does take a lot. It's not only something for the staff to prepare for, but our board members also play an important role because it's also a time where we revisit our strategic master plan. And that's something that we refer to when looking at not only creating programs, but also in reviewing grant applications. We see how that satisfies our strategic master plan. So it's going to be a busy time, especially because it's during CNMI Humanities Month, which is like, wow.
And that's happening in October. Any other special plans that you know are coming up in October for Humanities Month, or are you kind of going with the flow and maybe the fundraiser will be that month, maybe not?
Yeah, I'm kind of going with the flow on that, mainly because the one thing with working with the council is you never know what great opportunity you're going to have. So for instance, in December, we thought we had our calendar set. We thought we have everything covered for 2016 because it's going to be a busy year, but we've actually added four additional programs or events. Since then, we've had 3 community lecture series where invited scholars to share their research or their story relating to the humanities. We had a survivor of the bombing of Hiroshima. We had Dr. Villar come in to talk about his work with DNA and the Chamorro people. And we had Dr. Carson come to share his findings on the Retidian site in Guam, his archaeological dig that he did there. And so I think right now I can safely say that we'll go with the flow for CNMI Humanities Month.
Give us again the highlights of what's coming up in the most immediate future that people can look forward to.
Okay, the most immediate future. Okay, let's see. For March 31st is the second quarter grant deadline. So make sure that for those who are already preparing their grant proposal or want to submit one, make sure to call our office at 235-4785. It's due March 31st at 4 p.m. For Saipan, I'll be facilitating a grants workshop on March 15. Venue is still TBA, so be looking out for information on that. I'll make sure to put out a press release on when that is, but that's pretty much going to cover what to expect in preparing a grant proposal. March 31st, I think, is the main date for the most immediate because we have the grant deadline and we also have the film entry deadline. So look out for those 2 deadlines.
And if you are a veteran, we invite you to come out tonight at 5 p.m. at the Carolinian Ut to dialogue with the Humanities Council about what services, what programs, humanities-related programs they may be able to put forth for you. And also, of course, to welcome the 2 veterans, World War II veterans that are passing through the Marianas on their way to Iwo Jima. Eulalia, thank you so much for your time. That is a lot of information. I would have to say, if you have questions, give the Humanities Council a call or stop by their office at Springs Plaza on Middle Road, Walarai. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kat.
Our guest today has been Program Officer Eulalia Arreola of the Northern Marianas Humanities Council. We hope you will participate in one, any, or all of these activities that they have. This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.